Right now I've got Abdourahman and Njie in the studio, aka Yagamoto, or Yaga, as his new mates like to call him. But I'm going to be interviewing him about his career so far. For those that don't know, that we actually grew up together in sunny Southend, Essex. So I've been able to witness him sort of grow and evolve, and it's been such a beautiful, inspiring thing to see. So we're going to be talking all about that and looking towards the future as well. So when you hear that wonderful J Dilla instrumental, it means that I've got a guest or I'm about to interview someone, and right now I've got Abdourahman and Njie. Got to say it with bass. He's in the studio right now.
Yeah.
Abdu is a movement director, casting director, model, photographer. He's in front of the camera, he's behind the camera, dancer. He is a slashy. He's this slash this slash this slash this. But what I want to know is, where did it all begin? What did baby Abdu want to be when you were like in primary school? What did you want to do?
That's a really good question. Hello everyone. All right. So, when I was like 5, I have vivid memories of me. Like, you had a show and tell. So everyone would bring in all these fancy stuff, and I went to quite a middle class school, so everyone could afford to bring nice fancy stuff, whereas I had to use my imagination in order to bring stuff.
Imagination is fancy,
you know what I mean. So I remember around that time, 5, 6, no, maybe like 6, 7 baby cakes. Do you remember that song?
Baby cakes,
yeah,
you just don't know
exactly.
Wow, that is taking it back, man.
So when that song came out,
I
remember I was obsessed with it, and the teacher was like, okay, so Abdu, your time to like show and tell. So I just performed it.
Did you?
Then,
oh my days.
And then the class was like more. So I just kept on performing like all these songs that I just watched when I was younger, and all these songs, and and then from there on, I did have like a certain instinct in my body that was like, I would love to be a performer.
Yeah,
but
so always performance, entertaining, always sort of.
That's performance is very much like built in our house, just entertaining the industry within itself. Like, my grandmother's a designer, and then my mum passed that on, all her trades down to my mum. And I've grown up in a household full of 6 women, or 7 women altogether, including my mum, and they're all very much love arts and crafts and craft, and the entertainment business is just massive. It's
just always been around you. And as a teenager, you moved to back to Gambia. What was that like? How did living in Gambia at that young age impact your work now, or your outlook on the word today?
It's a really good question. So I moved when I was 16, and I once again found myself in an environment which I felt a bit short-handed. I went to school, a private boarding school, so I was with all these international kids whose parents were like diplomats and ambassadors, etc. So, and whereas coming from working class council flat, like, and then being put into a scenario like that, or a system like that, where everyone is financially like secure and stuff, and you're kind of like, you have this imposter syndrome. You're rolling around trying to act like you can afford everything. And then from that, so I would go to school and live that life, and then I would go back home. And we live quite well out there, but I'd go back home and I would interact with the locals. So I'd always have 2 perspectives in terms of like the high life per se, whichever way you want to flip it. And then with the locals, like, it would be a lot more things that would just be a lot more down to earth. And like,
do you think sort of having those both 2 perspectives has made you more of like a rounded person? You can like relate to people from all walks of life.
Big time. I think a lot of the things I do here, just in general, like, one thing that Gambia has taught me is, possibilities are like endless. So and there's some certain things that you see out there you take for granted at that time, or you don't really understand how much this is going to develop you as a person. Only until you like come back. Step away from that, and then you digest it, and you're like, oh wow, like,
that's what that lesson was for.
You know what I'm
Makes
saying?
sense
and
now.
Then that motivation.
Thanks,
so like everything I do now, so I've just instilled that into my life now. Like, anytime that all these, I don't know, just look at all the opportunities I have, and I always relate it back to how anyone else would treat that back home.
Yeah.
And sometimes like you may get given something here, and you may not think that it's like the best opportunity. Well, especially in the beginning of my career, I was doing a lot of that. You know, I was like, like being a bit pick and choosy.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, in the back of my head, I was like, nah, I can't do that, because if anyone had like 5% of the opportunity I have here,
they'll think you're ungrateful.
More so, and as well, they would do it so well. They would deliver in whichever way they had to. So
yeah,
I've always had that in my head.
Yeah. So how old were you when you moved back from Gambia to Essex?
So I moved to Gambia when I was 16 because I was a naughty boy, and then I moved back to
bad.
Essex when I was just about to turn 18.
Yeah.
And I literally felt like I'd been to England for the first time in my life. It was crazy.
Yeah. Because I remember, like, so we've grown up together, and I remember when you came back, you just seemed more sort of like a bit more sure of yourself, more culturally grounded. And having those two perspectives, I feel like really was the beginning of your flourishing.
Yeah, yeah. I can agree with that too. I think going to Gambia applied a lot more structure, and then also as well like culturally grounding myself.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest goal for me, to go to Gambia and to experience that. And then when I felt that, I came back with like, because the thing is, once you're like assured of yourself in terms of, especially culture is such a rich thing to have, and it's such a luxury to carry with you, because not a lot of people understand that much about that culture or get to like figure out that much about it. So like I said, it's a luxury that I found out all these things, and then I used that as ammunition to come back here, and just like I was like, wow, like there's things for me in Gambia. There's like land, there's like a whole different house, there's a whole way of system, a whole different system that's far more accessible for me to achieve in the sense of success. So I now understand what my let's say like mission is here.
Yeah.
Like I came back here with like a plan. Okay, I'm just not here for the sake of being here. I'm here to actually like work, grind, take my money, and bring it back home.
Yeah. And so how would you compare, so you've been living in London now for around 3 years. How would you compare living in London compared to Essex? I know we've both done that sort of move from Essex to London, and I've spoken to you about this before, but how has living in London sort of made you feel more sure about yourself and your black identity?
Yeah, well, it's quite important that you said black identity, because that's what it all kind of relates down to initially. Like in Essex, you don't, not to say that there wasn't POC artists there, but there wasn't a mass representation of us.
No.
So believe it or not, until let's say so I moved to London for university, and then I dropped out, and then I was like, okay, I want to get into like the creative field. I want to be a filmmaker and a photographer and maybe an actor, let's just see. And the only representation I had of these things were, for example, like artists that are in America.
Yeah,
Denzel Washington,
and it's so far away, like just because they're the same
and whatnot. Exactly, skin tone.
So I was anything.
like, you know, if I'm ever gonna achieve that, I have to go to I have to be in America to do that. So I have to just build myself up here. I have to do the groundwork here. And then I went to, so believe it or not, I went to a party one day. My friend, good friend, Ayo Hassani, he brought me to this party. It was hosted by another good friend of mine called Theo White Wine, and basically the whole room was just full of black artists. And I was so taken aback.
Must be
I was
quite
like,
overwhelming, because in Essex we'd never get
I was
that.
like, what the hell is this person? I was just like, what? Like, how is this existing? I was looking around, I was like, no way. I was talking to people, they're like, yeah, I'm a photographer as well, and I'm a filmmaker, or I'm a screenwriter, or model, or I'm this and that. And I was like, what? Like, where have you guys been hiding?
Not in Essex.
I honestly, I literally was, after that, I was like, that being from that one party.
Yeah.
I dropped out. It gave me the ammunition to drop out and to do everything and to just go freelance.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, there's a community here, and there's stories that to be told, and there's narratives to be played out.
Yeah.
And I can be a part of this.